Well, hello there. I'm back after missing a month of uploading. Yeah, we'll talk later about that. So, this video is actually a collab. Yeah, I can't believe it either. The lovely Deanna from Middle Rabbit here on YouTube reached out to me on Instagram and wrote me like the sweetest message I've ever gotten and asked me if I wanted to do a collab with her. I was taken aback. Like, yeah, sure. So you totally have to check out her amazing doll video as well. Like, you gotta absolutely have to check out what doll she came up with. Like, wow, look at her. She's so amazing. Look at that head and the mushroom. It's so cool. You just have to check her out. But just after you finish mine. Don't go. We choose the general theme of mushrooms and just go wild with it. So my base doll is this Spectra Fondergeist. But not any normal Spectra Fondergeist doll. No, no, no. This is the singing hard plastic version of the original doll. She is stiff, her joints don't move, and she kinda lost her legs. Gee, I wonder how that happened. While she sang, her head and limbs would glow when you pressed the button on her sculpt. Like I do right now, but she doesn't work either because there are no batteries inside, or the kid who owned her before murdered her. Take a guess. She doesn't have a lot of movability with these kind of joints, and I tried to change that later, but that came and bit me in the butt. One of her pros, more like the only one, is her hair, which is really nice, so I keep it. Time to show you what I came up with. No explanation needed. So time to Frankenstein a bit. I cut open her sculpt to reveal another sculpt. I ripped out her arms and then took apart the electronics that were inside. Here I have some doll limb ripping apart ASMR. Now I can use ASMR in the text. Yay! Since she hit her second sculpt from the world, I chuck out my handy dandy Dremel and open it up with surgically caution. Removing the sculpt revealed even more electronics that needed to be removed, which wasn't that easy since everything was screwed in. Then I used my favorite tool in the world to drill even more holes into her body, but she had obviously a different opinion. So I took my pliers and ripped out the rest. I want her to have full movability of her head joint, so I drill off the excess plastic around it. Here is her head completely taken apart. Yeah, that's pretty. I tried removing the factory paint with some normal nail polish remover, but since her face is a different material than usual, I whipped out some pure acetone and it was still pretty difficult to remove the paint. Here is the blank head, ready for some action, but let's appreciate her beautiful face shape for a moment. Okay, time over. You don't get paid for staring at things. As you saw in my beautifully drawn sketch, her body shape is a bit different than her current one. Since she wasn't very flexible before, I took the opportunity to completely saw her apart and rebuild her from scratch.
Fatality.
However, on the inside were even more electronics that needed to be removed, since I want to hollow out her body completely. I get to that concept in just a minute, so I take my Dremel again and cut her open. So while the making of the tree stump base rolls in the background, I quickly explained what I had in my massive mind while thinking up. The concept of an all-loving Mother Nature character usually pops up in everybody's minds when thinking about nature type of characters. But since she's mushroom themed and doesn't represent the whole concept of Mother Nature, I wanted her to be more on the devious side. Just like some poisonous mushrooms that look totally like the edible ones. I wanted her to be a bit cheeky. So basically, imagine this. You walk into a deep forest and there you meet the oh so great Spaghetti Mama. Oh how glorious she is. And then you walk deeper into the forest and then... yeah, basically this. In the background you saw how I created a tree stump she grows out of using aluminium foil and epoxy sculpt. While this dries, I start sculpting her new lower body. I wanted her to have slightly bigger hips, but not too big, because I see like really big hips rather on Mother Nature than on her devious little sidekick. Here I'm building up the hole that she has in her stomach, where some smaller mushrooms will be growing out of, to like really cement in the look of a supernatural being. I really dislike the molded on panties most dolls have nowadays, so I really enjoy covering these up. To go together with her new hips, I give her a nice booty. I just let the process of this roll because I really enjoyed sculpting her new behind. And to go together with this, I give her new thighs as well. These were actually quite complex to sculpt since they overlap each other in the front. I let it dry for a moment and then I fill in the holes that are still out in the wild. Ah, so pretty. After that is finished, I start building her actual tree stump. some little worms and then put them on the stump to create the illusion that these tree roots are so old and big that they outgrew the soil around it. I use my sculpting tools to create a wood-like texture on the stump. I repeat this around the stump until I'm happy on how it looks. While the footage rolls in the back, I can now talk about why I couldn't upload last month. I got a job! A full-time job to be exact. So all these things you see on my channel are done in my free time. And since starting a new job is really stressful, especially in the first month, I decided to take a break. I mean, only YouTube can decide if that was a good idea. But now I'm settled in and I had the opportunity to do a collab and I wanted to make some more videos. I really love making and editing them. Writing the script is my least favorite thing, but uploading it and then reading all of the comments is really awesome. The feeling is so awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this. So anyway, I want to upload more in the future. And not only doll related things, but also drawing videos with more of a chit-chat kind of feeling. And even more crafting videos. In the past, I only uploaded art videos without a voiceover, but the thought of me talking and drawing at the same time really excites me. It doesn't have to be about the thing I'm drawing, more of a vloggy kind of style. I hope you know what I mean. I want to get your opinion on this, since you're the one watching it. I'm having a hard time with Instagram like many other artists, I guess. I'm really unhappy how things are at the moment on this platform. This is probably a thing I want to talk about in my next video while I do some drawings, and I will actually show my face again because the last time I did it was like a year ago. So look out for that. I talked a lot about me, so let's get back to the doll. Here's the finished tree stump. I love it. To make this look more like she's an overgrown forest, I make these little leaves and then attach them to the tree and the grass. To make the ground look more realistic, I used some clay and covered it. And since she is a mushroom herself, she of course surrounds herself with mushrooms of any kind. For this I use some flower wire and aluminum foil to make the base. I then cover them with clay and form them to my liking. I don't really have a particular type of mushroom in my mind while making them. I just go with the flow and basically go wild. let's work on her upper body, her neck specifically. So to cut the story short, I turn her upper part into a BJD. I cover the top of her neck with epoxy and sculpt a sphere on top of it. I then test from time to time if it still fits onto it and then prick a hole into the ball to later thread a string through it. Once this is dry, I cover the hole in her head with a dome and put a hole in there as well. To attach both parts to each other without falling apart, I made this S-hook and thread the string through all of the components. To completely secure the thread, I took this metal pin and glued it to the bottom of her open chest and then tied the thread around it. Voila, BJD-ified. Now to my problem child, the arms. I made them with the same concept as the head, but on a much smaller scale. And that's where it bit me in the butt. At first I wanted this to be like this. So I hollowed out the lower side of her arms and made this little eggy to function as a joint, but the eggy was evil. I cried, you cried, but mostly me. You didn't even know this existed a minute ago, so you probably didn't even cry. So let's just go and move on. To still make movable arms, I drilled a hole through them and put the S-hook in as a joint. More on that simpler side, but hey, it works. I really wanted to amplify her devilishness and made her a bigger chest area. But not what you think. Then what is more devilish than an open chest with your ribcage out? Ha! I don't think anyone can top this. You know, there aren't enough mushrooms yet, so she gets some onto her entire front body. These tree mushrooms are my favorite kind of mushrooms. They are very practical. So about 20 of them later, it's finally time for the face up. And it was an experience, let's say that. I go in like usual with my watercolor pencils after spraying it with sealant. I want her to look cheeky, fierce and dominating, like she has nothing to fear. You're just some low-level wanderer that can't even hit a dent into her. Oh yeah, did I mention that she is the size of one of these sexy Zelda fairies? So there's that image. her left eye a bit squinted, like the mushrooms even overgrow her own crater. I use my pastels to get her white face some texture and make her look like she grew from the ground. But then, I realized the face-up isn't going to be this easy. The material is just too polished. Even the sealant couldn't really hold on to it. Now I know why I haven't seen anybody using this stole for a custom before. Makes sense! So I had to switch to acrylics. My fave! I'm grateful to have some miniature brushes to deal with the size, but it was really exhausting. Just the tiniest slip and I had to redo the whole thing. The reason why I don't really like working with acrylics on my custom is that I don't really achieve that kind of gradient that I can achieve with watercolors. But when you do art, you have to be adaptable. To still get a bit stronger shading in, I use some watered down acrylics. There where I went overboard, I used my Acetone knife and scratch it off. And here is the finished face-up. Not too shabby, even it's done with acrylics. Oh wait, I forgot the lashes. Be right back. After face-up is done, I start prepping for the coloring process of the entire sculpture. I cover everything with gesso to get a nice base coat done. The same is done with the body, and since I wanted her to be still in white, I painted her body like 6 coats of it. I also covered the cross part of the base in a dark green base coat. Of all of the coats you see me paint on, just add at least 3 more because I just cut them out. satisfied with the base coat, I go over the whole thing again with some watered down acrylics. And not because I painted the tree accidentally too dark, no, that's not the reason. Anyway, I go over the whole thing again with even more watered down paint and give it a wash. Basically, the dark paint goes in all the little cracks and the base shines through it. I then dry brush the stump with some blackish brown colors. And then I do the same with the grass. Do some washes and dry brush it. Onto the face mushrooms. To make her look even more like she has been in the forest for hundreds of years, I darken her lower legs with some reddish pastels. After that, I paint the real mushrooms around her in some nice mushroom colors, like brown and some darker brown, and purple. So apparently I forgot to turn on the camera while I was painting and dry brushing her ribcage. You didn't really miss a lot, it's the same process as before, painting and dry brushing. Now I stick some tiny mushrooms into a hollowed out belly. What a sentence! And then decided, I don't think people would really get that she is a mushroom themed doll, and sculpted just 1 or 15 more. It was actually more for hiding her ugly back, but that's a secret between me and you. Well, she kinda is scalpless still, huh? I don't want her to have normal hair. That really wouldn't fit with her aesthetic. So I sculpt on a mushroom head thing. So I kinda ran out of time for editing the rest. I painted her mushroom head and attached the bigger mushrooms onto the base. You didn't really miss anything that you haven't seen before. So without further ado, here's the finished doll. was a journey. An amazing one. And a stressing one. But I love her. I think I haven't been this stressed since the Chimera doll. I even dreamed of her. Anyway, how do you like her? I still don't have a name for her, so go crazy in the comments. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. And absolutely don't forget to check out Middle Rabbit's video of her mushroom doll as well. So, that's it. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.